Hello guys, so welcome back to my channel and welcome back to a new video. At the end of August, it's actually going to be 3 years that I moved to France, and I kind of just wanted to make a video and kind of just like sit down and look back at my last 3 years spent in France and like how much I changed, and just like telling you guys the things that I wish I knew before I moved here. I know that there are already a lot of videos existing on this topic and I definitely made those videos myself as well, but in this video I mainly just wanna talk about more personal things and just things that you can't really know before you come here, because I think living abroad and moving abroad is such a big experience that it's such like a self-development experience that you can't really foresee what's gonna happen exactly when you move abroad. I find out a lot about myself after moving to France and just like my relationship with people and like self-confidence and all of that. So I'm gonna talk a little bit about the things I wish I knew before moving to France and how my last 3 years have been here in Paris, and yeah, just things nobody really tells you before you move abroad and before you go studying abroad. So we are going to get into that in a minute. Also, before we start this video, I just quickly want to let you guys know that I'm currently doing one-on-one consultations. If you're someone who is interested in moving abroad, if you're someone who is interested in studying in France or moving to Paris and you have a lot of questions, you feel a little bit lost, I am doing one-on-one consultations. You can find my calendar down in the description box below and you can book an appointment with me. So yeah, if you're someone who is watching this video because you're actually interested in moving to France and you need more help or information, you can find my calendar down below in the description box. And I also have a Patreon page if you guys are interested in seeing more content about my life in Paris, bonus content, extra videos, bloopers, behind the scene footage. I also have a Patreon page, so if you guys want to support this channel and see more content of life in Paris, my link is also down in the description box below. So with that out of the way, let's start this video. So I actually like wrote down a couple of things that I wanted to talk about. So the first thing that I wrote down is developing a thick skin and cocky French people. I think that's one of the things that I realized recently. And we talked about this before with my boyfriend in one of my videos when we were talking about rude French people. And I think that was like one of the things for me that was kind of hard to understand, that it's just really in like French people's nature to be very critical and to have a very like critical eye to people and to things. And I think first when I came to Paris as a model, that definitely hurt me a little bit. I definitely took it personal a little bit in the beginning. Like I first came to Paris when I was 18 years old, and like the French people at my modeling agency were like extremely critical, like extremely sarcastic, and I mean they were nice, like they were really nice people, but they were definitely very French in that way. So that at the time that was like quite hurtful, like for a 18-year-old girl who never really lived abroad before. Now I'm already okay with it. Like now I can see that it's just part of their culture, it's just part of their education to be very critical. I think that's the thing that foreigners can misunderstand by them being rude, but I think if you can understand that it's just really in their nature to see things from different perspectives and to give their opinion on literally everything, even if no one asked for it, then I think you're gonna take it a lot less personal and you're not gonna get offended by it so much. You just get used to it basically. Just be prepared that they're very opinionated. It's just all my experience. Like everything I say in this video is just from my experience and the things that I've experienced in the past 3 years. So if you're French and you're like, no, we're not like this at all, don't take it personal what I say, because it's just my experience. I know that everybody's experience is different, so that's just my thoughts. So let's move on. Oh, the second thing that I wrote down is intimidating French people. I can still sometimes get a little bit intimidated by French people, but I think it's just on the days when I don't feel that confident anyways. Like when you learn a foreign language and when you go to the country and when you have to talk to native speakers, that's already kind of like you already feel a bit intimidated. So that's one of the things that I kind of had to like get through, is to not be so intimidated by them and just understand that they're people too and they're just like anybody else, and it's the same everywhere when you move to different country, that when you learned their language and when you have to interact with native speakers, you already feel a bit, I don't want to say inferior, but you can just feel that you're not on their level. And I definitely had this in my first year of university. Everything at my uni was French, like everything I had to, all of my classes and everything. And in my first year I felt quite like inferior to other students, to be honest, because I was like, oh, everybody knows what they're doing, it's so easy for them. And then I kind of shifted my mindset into being like, oh my god, like look at me, like it's not even my first language. I'm literally living abroad without my family, without any exterior help. I'm on my own, I don't have any help, and I'm still like excelling at all my classes. Like I'm still getting better grades than most of them, so that gave me a lot of confidence. If you come here as a student, and especially if you do like a French courses where you just feel a bit like insecure, just remember that you're abroad and you don't even have the resources and the help that everybody else has, so you're already much more, I don't want to say brave, but brave for doing all of this. So the next thing I wrote down is becoming more independent, doing everything on my own, and yeah, just wanting to be more independent basically. I'm already someone who is very independent, like ever since I was in like elementary school. Like I always wanted to go home alone. I never wanted my parents to pick me up. I thought it was so lame if somebody else was coming to pick me up. I always wanted to do everything on my own, and I think moving to France definitely made that desire even stronger. And I think if you're someone who is also like this, if you're also someone who really likes to be independent, I think moving abroad is gonna be a really good experience for you. And if you're someone who doesn't like to be independent, or if you're someone who is kind of scared of doing things on their own, I think moving abroad is also gonna be a good experience for you, because you literally have no choice. I was always kind of independent when it came to like going to places and being on my own. Like I never was scared of living on my own or having to go somewhere without anyone, or living in a country where I don't know anyone. I never had a problem with that. But when it came to things like administration or doing like scary things like administrations and things like that, that was the aspect for me that I was kind of scared of. I think I just kind of wish I knew how to be like more independent when it came to already like administration and things like that from the beginning, because I really had a hard time like doing researches and opening bank accounts and getting a SIM card and like all of those things. My tip for you is, if you're coming to France, make sure to do your research. And like I literally started to look for ways to open a bank account and get a SIM card and all of that stuff when I was already here. So I think I spent like 3 weeks just being like, yeah, I'm gonna do that later. So I think if you're coming here, definitely make sure to do that way before you move, because I kind of did everything last minute and it was kind of hectic. Also in France, if you want to open a bank account, you have to have a SIM card, but in order to have a SIM card, you have to have a bank account. So it's very complicated. So just make sure that you do your research and make sure that you know how you're gonna do things when you come here. So the next thing that I wish I knew before moving to France is, sometimes you're gonna feel like you don't really belong anywhere. I think it's kind of hard to explain if you never lived abroad before, because now when I go home, when I go back to my country, because there's nothing that's really holding me there or keeping me there other than my family. I don't have a school there, I don't have a workplace there, I don't even have a lot of friends there, to be honest. I'm just kind of like, I kind of feel like a foreigner, which is really weird. But at the same time, when I'm here, I also kind of feel like a foreigner because I didn't grow up here and I don't have a lot of like culture, like references that everybody else has. So it's a really weird feeling. Like I'm kind of in the middle. Like when I go home, I don't really belong there. When I'm in France, I also don't really belong here. But at the same time, I definitely feel like more that I belong here in France than belonging in my home country. So that's also very interesting. But I think that just because I did my studies here, I know so much more about like how like the French administration works than how the Hungarian administration works. I absolutely have no idea how to even find an apartment there or how to do anything there, to be honest. So I think that's one of the reasons why I feel so much more at home here, because all of those like adult things I'm doing here, but at the same time, when it comes to like the feeling of belonging somewhere, I'm just kind of floating in the middle. So I think that's something nobody really tells you when you move abroad, and I think it's something that you have to experience on your own. I talked to a lot of my expat friends about this before, and everybody said the same thing, that they just kind of like, they don't really feel like they really belong anywhere. I mean, I definitely feel more like I belong to France, and I'm definitely also planning on getting my French nationality very soon, so it's just weird. It's weird. And the last thing I wrote down is fitting in and making friends. So I wish I knew before moving to France how to use social media, because for a while, for at least a year, I wasn't really on social media to make friends. In Paris, I was on social media to make content for YouTube, but that didn't get me a lot of friends. So it got me a couple of friends, but not a lot. And I wish I knew how to reach out to people more and how to look in Facebook groups to find people who are also interested in meeting other expats. So if you're moving to France, especially if you're moving to Paris, because Paris is such an international city, definitely like get into Facebook groups. Like even before you move, reach out to people. Like you can even write like a post of like, hi, so I'm from here. I don't know how many years old. I am looking to make foreign friends, or I'm looking to make friends in Paris. If someone is interested, hit me up. We can go to a museum or a cafe. I wish I did that sooner, because honestly I started going out and having friends after like almost my second year of living in Paris. So I wish I did that sooner. So yeah, just one tip. If you're coming here, use social media to make friends. I mean, it's definitely not the only way to make friends, but it's a very good way to make friends here. So I'm gonna finish this video soon. So I think the main things that you can take away from this video if you're moving to France is, as I just said, don't be shy to reach out to people. Use social media to find people you want to be friends with. Really prepare your study abroad, or really prepare your moving experience before you move. Like have like a set plan of what you have to do exactly to open a bank account, get a SIM card, find an apartment, like all of these things. And then third point is probably just don't get intimidated by French people. For me, it's difficult sometimes to understand like their way of thinking and functioning, but now that I've been here 3 years, I'm starting to see their vision of the world. There's still days when I'm like, I just don't get them, but I think you just have to accept them for who they are and don't get offended or intimidated by them. And the last point is that when you move here, don't be surprised if after a while you kind of start to feel like you don't belong anymore to like your home country, or if you cannot relate to the culture of your home country. I definitely had that experience, so don't be too surprised if you kind of feel like you're kind of like lost in between two cultures or two nationalities. I think it's very normal, and I'm pretty sure that by the time that I will be living here for like 10 or 20 years, because I'm not planning to go anywhere, you're gonna feel a lot more home here than even back in your home country. So I think that's all I wanted to say. I hope that you enjoyed this video. I kind of just want to sit down and talk about this because it's been on my mind for the past few days. Again, don't forget that if you're interested in one-on-one consultations, my link is down below in the description box, and if you are interested in checking out my Patreon page for more videos and Life in Paris content, my link is also down below in the description box. So I think that's all I wanted to say for today. I'm gonna see you guys next week, and don't forget to like this video and subscribe, and see you guys next week. Bye!